Hey there internets, I'm Michael and today on Toucan Play That Game we have a review of Rise of the Kage by GCT Studios. So what is it? Well, we take a look at the box cover, we see these typical Japanese rooftops and some skulking characters on the top, which are of course ninjas. So it's about ninjas in feudal Japan, and that is exactly what this game is about. You see, one person will take on the role of the guards defending their manor or building or whatever location you happen to be playing in, and the rest of the players will take on the role of ninjas, each ninja coming from one of the different three clans representing a specialty either in combat, stealth or item use. So how the game all works is the ninjas are moving around the map trying to get search tokens in order to achieve different missions. Now the game comes with a nice variety of missions, 10 standard missions and then 2 missions that are per board, so that gives you 12 that you can use between the boards. The fact that the board is double-sided is good, so you have 2 different environments in which to play and they do feel really different. They've done a very good job. You've got the manor is this kind of open area, anyone can kind of get in, and then the other one is very few openings, very few spaces for the ninjas to get in. So yeah, very different feel to both the maps, which is good. So then as the ninjas, you're trying to get these search tokens, and the search tokens then enable you to complete missions. As the guard, you decide where those search tokens get placed, as well as where all your guards are placed. And of course, as the guard, you're trying to just hinder the ninjas. All you need to do is either kill the ninjas or make sure that they make enough noise and take long enough and you'll win. Because that's what this game is all about. It's about stealth. As the ninjas, they need to try and not make noise. They need to try and do things. But everything they're doing, there is the risk of noise. And whenever they generate noise, that empowers the guards. Firstly, it gives the guards extra actions, which is dangerous. Secondly, it gets them closer to that end condition of the guards winning. And also, finally, it makes the guards more alert. As they get closer to that end mark, the guards become better. They get better guards coming out, higher level guards, they're able to do more actions. Very interesting. So it's very much that asymmetric play. It's a very different feel to it. So what do I think of the game? Let's start with the components. Now there are a ton of components in this, so I'm not going to talk about them all, only where I feel it's noteworthy. So we'll start with the good. Look at how many minis there are. You get a ton of minis in this. They're really nice detailed miniatures. Unfortunately, because of the size, that level of detail, I would never be able to paint them to do them justice, which is a bit of a shame because I'm just not a good enough painter for that. However, they look fine, really nice. I like the fact that the ninjas are so distinctive compared to the guards. Really helps when it's on the map. The one kind of big problem with these miniatures is they're made of that soft plastic that has a tendency for weapons to kind of bend. Yes, you can solve this by kind of soaking them in hot water and reshaping. It's a lot of faff to go to. It's not actually a fault of the miniatures, it's more the way they're stored. They're just kind of thrown in. You know, some games such as Cool Mini or Knots tend to have these plastic containers. Each miniature has their own spot in there, and even then they tend to have this sometimes. But that way they're much more protected, much less bending. With this, they're all just kind of thrown into bags together, and of course that pushes and puts pressure and will cause this. But they are fixable, they are nice, and I really like them. The other thing to note component-wise is that the board is superb quality. As I've already said, the fact that it's double-sided is great, but then it's really thick, high quality, you know, good weight to it. It's not going to be knocked around a lot, it's not going to bend. Now, another thing that is really nice component-wise is these little doors. You know, they could have just had tokens flat, but no, they went to the effort of these plastic standees for these doors, which just adds a nice 3D element to the game as you're playing. The final thing to talk about component-wise is not so good. The rule book. Now, it is an unfortunate shame that the rules that the game was published with weren't very good. In fact, they were so poor that the rules have been rewritten. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can easily download the rules, but it means you won't have a professionally printed rulebook. Now, you can get those rules either from Board Game Geek, the page there, or from GCT Studios' own page. And I've actually done a how to play video that they've had me do in order to make it less of a blow that there is no rulebook for the people who have backed this, because it was a Kickstarter, so there's a lot of people who have it and were unhappy with the fact that they had to go download and print rules. And so hopefully my doing the rule video will help them with that a bit. So that's probably enough on components. So there are lots of other components, but they're not really particularly bad or particularly good. And as you can tell, I think overall the component quality is good. So what about artwork then? Well, the box cover is just stunning. I love this. And then, you know, you've got like the sides of the box, you've got one of the ninjas there and got one of the guards there. I think the artwork is absolutely lovely and gorgeous in this game. Even the board looks fantastic. You know, it's clear, the different areas, it's detailed, it's got lots of things going on in it. I really like that. Now, the cards don't really have much in the way of art on, which is a bit of a shame. You do have the player boards and ninja boards have images of the different ninjas, etc. that are very nice. So those are good, but it's kind of a shame that the cards are a bit bland, but easily acceptable. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on artwork. What about the gameplay? Well, this game has one problem. One kind of big problem for me. It's a game about ninjas sneaking around, trying to do stuff undetected, but the guard can see the ninjas at all time. This just feels like it should be a hidden movement game. It feels like you need that hidden movement, like it should be that. If it was that, it would be so much better. And it's a good, fun game as it is. But it just feels like it's not as good as it could be. It's not the game that I would love it to be. Now, you know, there are plenty of good hidden movement games like Spectre Ops. It feels like Spectre Ops converted into ninjas would be the perfect game. You know, take these models and play it on the Spectre Ops idea of hidden movement and stuff would be so much better. But it's got a lot of good things going for it too. Now, firstly, it's got the whole combat system and the skill tests of having the stealth and the force dice. That's very unique and different and works quite nicely. The fact that those dice are your health is a really interesting thing. So as you take damage, you have less dice to use and you're choosing which dice to give up, but those dice will do different things and sometimes you will have to use more dice. The whole concept of kind of balancing, there's kind of this risk and reward thing going on in this game, especially as the ninjas, really. And that comes from the, do you take the risk of making noise? You see, because you can mitigate that often by using extra dice, but then you're reducing the number of actions you can take. So there's a really interesting dynamic with that. But at the same time, the guard can see you, knows where to place people, knows where to move people. Yes, the ninjas are faster, can outmaneuver, have a lot of interesting things going on, but it just still comes back to that. The ninjas should be hidden. It should be hidden movement. But it is a really fun game. If you have it, then you'll enjoy it. If you don't have it, I'd recommend trying it. Of course, you'll need to watch my rules video. It is quite a complex game. There is a lot to take in with it. There's a lot that isn't necessarily intuitive because it is new to this game. You won't have encountered it in other games. So who would I recommend this for? Well, people who love games filled with minis because, let's face it, it comes with a lot of minis. Who else would I recommend it for? Well, people who just love the theme. I mean, the theme of this is great with the ninjas. You do get a feel for that, and hopefully you won't have the same as me of feeling it needs that hidden movement. And it's got really nice production value, and yeah, it is a fun game. I will say it tends to feel more fun as the ninjas. As the guard, you feel very just reactionary, which is kind of a shame, but some people will prefer that style of play, that you are reactionary, that it is the initial setup is your big strategy kick. You know, where you place things, how you place them is very key for you as the guard. But then after that, it largely just comes down to, have they made noise, have they not, where are they going, what are they doing, and reacting to that. Whereas as the ninjas, you kind of control the game during the gameplay much more. Now, another thing I'd like to mention that you may want to get this for is if you play GCT Studios' other game, Bushido, because you can get this conversion pack, which is only like £6-7, filled with cards for Bushido, so that you can take all of these lovely miniatures and use them in your games of Bushido. So if you play that, I would highly recommend this. It is a great way of expanding that and also giving you a sub-game that you can play. Now, I haven't yet talked about whether or not two can play that game. As it is an all-these-one situation, yes, two can play that game. In fact, I kind of prefer it that way. I like to have, if I'm the ninja player, have full control over the ninjas and not be like going, oh, but why are you doing that? The other ninja player, other people may not feel this way, but that's my thoughts. So I do prefer it as an all-these-one, because there are only 3 ninjas and there isn't a lot for them to do each turn. It doesn't feel like it's too much to take in and for one person to do, controlling all 3 either, which can be a problem in some dungeon crawls, etc., where you're controlling, you know, 4 heroes and this one has all this special information you need to remember, this one, it's not that complex. You know, you've got a few pieces of equipment each and their stat block you just refer to, the dice of what they have available to use really clear, movement is the same amount each and you're just using tokens to easily track that. So yeah, better at 2 players in my opinion. Okay, that's probably enough of my thoughts on Rise of the Kage by GCT Studios. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, and of course if you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing to the channel and sharing it with your friends and family. And do also take a look at us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching and bye for now.